Okay.
Oh my god, he just texted me.
That's weird. So, basically we just did the 4-part series of K-Pack Pioneers, and I told a lot of stories. But one of the things about this long, winding road of a trajectory and a life experience was that, and I'm also going to start a recording just in case here, because I had that problem with episode 4. A lot of stuff happened, and sometimes you can just kind of get overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that was going on and kind of forget some of the events. But this was a major event. I mentioned it in passing in episode 4, but I didn't actually really elaborate on it.
He said yeah.
Lol. So, basically in May of 2017, Jahma and I had started running around together, and I was introducing him to this world of wholesale bars and counterfeit money from the darknet. And we were ordering these 20s. And we were going around town, Aliso Viejo, California, breaking these counterfeit $20 bills at different stores and business establishments. And we'd gone to Cane's in Town Center at the corner of Aliso Creek Road and Pacific Park Drive, and spent 2 20s in the same place there. And while we were there, we got a text from Ella that she wanted to go to the Hotel Irvine with us. I told her that, well, we were working and so forth, and but we were going to come. So we went there. I actually have a video from that night somewhere, but that's a little bit of a task to hunt it down. So anyway, at this point, I was very, very yeah, very different person. I could really only describe it as a possession by demonic forces, essentially. We went to the Hotel Irvine, and at some point during the night, both of them decided that I was doing really badly on meth, and so by morning, Jahma grabbed me in a bear hug. Ella took the meth and threw it into a tank of water. And angry with both of them, I left there, went with Jahma back into the back to Aliso Viejo from Irvine, and it seemed that Jahma and I were kind of undergoing some tension. So he texted me and said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Arvin, California, which is this terrible town, somewhere I guess north of San Bernardino in Kern County." And I'd heard stories about it because he had told me that that's where his connection to a quarter pound was. And back at that time, to get 4 ounces of meth for $500 was a pretty a good deal. So I was interested in going with him. I'd heard stories of him going up there to see who he called his connect in Arvin. And to be invited along with him on that journey really meant that I was in. And he was giving me access to all the different assets or resources and connections that he had. But I was very paranoid at this time, too. So by nighttime, it must have been probably almost midnight or about midnight. I told him, okay, I'll go to Arvin. But there had been tension earlier that same day, so I didn't really trust him too much. So just in case, as a little bit of a liability shield, or a little bit of a cover your bases type of a maneuver, I texted Tyson, who's mentioned in this series, and I told him, hey, come outside, I want to talk to you about something. He did that. We met up by the electrical box, which is basically, if you follow Allenwood Lane all the way to the end, you go from Morning Ridge into Allenwood and turn these corners and go all the way in. There's a little green electrical box at the corner right there. And I told him to meet me there. We generally did that. A lot of times we would do that when I was having panic attacks or whatever was going on, just so that someone would be near me in case I was having a heart attack or whatever. And he came outside, and I told him, hey, I'm going to a place called Arvin, California tonight. I'm going to be with Jahmalik Carpenter.
I don't know what he said.
And if I don't come back alive, I just want you to know who I'm with and where I am. I'm live! And Tyson asked me, what the hell are you doing? I said, it's probably nothing, and I'm probably just being paranoid, but just in case, I want you to know who I'm with and where I am. And Tyson and I were really good friends. I think I have a composite sketch of him. I'll put a composite sketch of Tyson up here for you. I don't want to put him on too much of a blast, but I might even have a photo of him or something somewhere. But just in case I don't, let's get a composite of him on the screen, and then I'm going to put his photo of Jahma up for you guys so you can get an understanding of who we're with here, who we're talking about. Let's see, don't move. Oh, that's funny. I actually have a picture of the counterfeit money that I was talking to you about. I don't know. I don't, These guys are funny, man. Just gangsters. Anyway, so thought I had a composite on here. I guess I can't find it yet, but we rendezvoused at essentially the corner of Morning Ridge and Creekside. Got into the silver Honda Civic, the hippie patrol, and began our trek towards Arvin, California for a $500 quarter pound of meth. During that drive, everything seemed like normal, but there was definitely some light tension in the vehicle. Somewhere south of San Bernardino, he called. I actually don't know the answer to that question. That's funny. Maybe the CIA. Somewhere south of San Bernardino, he called the dealer that we were going to meet, and this guy was allegedly called the Batman because he always carried a baseball bat. And he had. It's funny. Yeah, probably, man. Usually the CIA is involved. So he called this guy, and the guy told him, okay, man, call me again when you hit San Bernardino. We kept driving. We entered San Bernardino, and we called the Batman again. And the Batman told him, welcome to Kern County, and I'll see you soon. He gave us a description of a hotel that he was in Arvin, California. And at some point during this drive, Jahma and I noticed a black Crown Vic that was following us, all blacked out Crown Vic. And we performed some evasive maneuvers, basically little things that you do to see if it's a surveillance detection route or an SDR, and you basically do this series of driving maneuvers that's relatively irrational and probably not going to be done by most people, and then that way you can determine if you're being followed or surveilled. And this vehicle followed everything we did, and so we're like, okay, this is really fucking weird now. We began to slow the car to this ridiculously low velocity on the freeway. The Crown Vic comes around from the back of the vehicle and pulls up alongside the right, and there was off to the right a bald man. It would be kind of cool to make a composite of this guy, actually. I'd like to do that now and just kind of have that. But this guy was all bald, totally shaven head, razor shaven. And he was sitting in the driver's seat of the car with this stack of papers at the steering wheel. And I said, "Did you see that?" And he said, "Yep." Well, he said, "Yeah, what the fuck? This guy has like a clipboard or papers or something on the steering wheel." And I said, "Don't they usually have like laptop computers like mounted to their dashboard? And like, is this guy law enforcement?" And Jahma said, "Yeah, some people have laptops, but other people are like old school and they like paper." And I said, like, "What's going on here?" Like, and I remember asking him, I said, somebody in our circle is some kind of like a law enforcement asset, and I don't know who it is. I think it's Katie. And I told him the story of the laptop and the suspicious circumstances involving Katie's so-called DUI arrest. And he started changing his tone really fast. He was getting like really, really sinister and different. And I said, "I think she's a Fed." And I'll never forget. He went. Nice. He went real quiet. Looked over at me and he said, "I think you're the fucking Fed." And I was like, "What?" like I'm the most illegal person you've ever known. And he said, "Yeah, I think you're the fucking Fed. And I didn't bring you out here to buy meth." And all I could think to do was to look for my phone. That wouldn't have mattered because he was now going, 70 or 80 miles an hour down this freeway, and there's pretty much nothing you can do. Try to disable or do anything to the drive. And all these things are going through my head, like, okay, I can just kill him here. But the problem is that I'm in a car moving 80 miles an hour. So if I kill him, that car is going to go off the road, and I'm going to be, probably also killed. I was thinking, what do I do? And I was just thinking, like, I just pulled my phone out. I'll just get my phone. I don't really know what I was going to do with it, but I was going to get my phone. And all of a sudden, I realized I couldn't find my phone. It wasn't in my pockets, and it wasn't down on the floorboards right there. I was going, "Oh, fuck." Like, somehow he got my phone. We're driving really fast. He never slowed the vehicle because he knew what I was already thinking. That I could kill him, but if I killed him, the vehicle was going to go off of the freeway. And I'd be hurt or killed. And so, at that moment, I realized that I was going to get murdered and buried in the desert. Basically. I mean, there's nothing else, that I'm out there for. At the very best possible circumstances, he's just going to, abandon me out in Arvin, but probably he brought me out here to kill me. Especially if he thinks I'm a Fed. And so, we're driving towards Arvin. There's some kind of a truck stop or a rest stop there off the side of the freeway. We pulled into this truck stop, and Jahma stops the car right alongside this white pickup truck with all black windows. I still think about these things. I'm trying to figure, like, I dealt for a long time trying to figure out, like, what in the fuck was going on here. Because even if this is not real, if this is some kind of a weird illusion, some kind of a psyop that he's pulling, like, how did he know that there's going to be this pickup? And I still don't know the answer to that question today, but he pulled up alongside this white pickup truck with all black windows, stops the car really fast, and he says, "This is where you get out." And before I could react, he slammed the accelerator and started cackling maniacally. And he looked over, and he's like, "How scared were you?" And I realized I wasn't going to get murdered. And I was like, I wasn't really scared. I just didn't feel anything. Like, nothing at all. No fear, no nothing. Just blank. And we laughed about it. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Totally relieved and just everything, immediately the tension in the vehicle was gone, and I was like, what the fuck? And he said, "I just wanted you to know what that's like, because what we're doing here is really serious, and someday this is a possibility for you, but I'll do whatever I can to protect you." And I always felt really safe around Jahma. I'm going to put him on the screen. He's dead now, so I just want to have that tribute for him. But this is my friend, Jahmalik Carpenter. Fucking guy. And it was a really valuable lesson, I think it's something that every, kid who wants to get involved in this stuff should experience, so they know, it's serious business. Hold on! That's my friend Jahmalik Carpenter from his obituary. And he taught me a really valuable lesson that day in Arvin. And the Batman never showed. Never appeared. And in fact, by the time we got into Arvin, he had given us a description of a motel that didn't exist. It was he said it was a second story. He was on the second story Motel 6 in some room number, and we drove all around town. It's a very small town. Tiny little place, but we drove all around that town looking for this 2-story Motel 6 and never found anything. So eventually we said, I think this guy's like just playing us and he's not going to show up. He's either paranoid or whatever it is. So we drove back towards Aliso Viejo, and we hit every single Starbucks on the way home from Arvin, California, all the way to Aliso Viejo. And we were going into these Starbucks, getting 50-cent iced coffee refills with counterfeit 20s, and each one we would hit it, sometimes twice, but usually once. By the time we got home, we had like, I don't know, probably $600 or $700 in money gleaned from the counterfeits, and then another minimum $500 from the attempted quarter-pound purchase. And so, funny thing is too that we attempted to buy meth from a different source using all this money we'd made, and all of a sudden we had all the money that we would need to get meth, and nobody would do it. But I wanted to throw this supplemental story in with the rest of the series so that you guys have it. Jahma was really funny. He had a really dark, twisted sense of humor, and he taught me a really valuable thing that day. That the world I was going into could be a very dangerous world. And he taught me that something like that can happen totally unexpectedly, and there was nothing you could do about it.